The most serious economists today who see the situation as it is have already predicted the death of money. But I think very few people understand the psychological repercussions that will ensue with the imminent death of the money god. And those who have not found the real God will be in chaos and maximum anxiety and lostness when all of their savings devoted to the worship of the false god have become worthless. And the real salvation has not been attained. It is of great historic importance when a god falls, particularly a planetary-wide god such as money. And its replacement will not be easy. Some think it's investing in gold. Others used to think it was oil, but now they've learned the hard way that that isn't the case. Some think that it will be resolved through bartering. But consciousness that has become entrained by capitalism and that seeks profit will have a very difficult time dealing with a situation in which the more that one seeks to gain, the more that one loses. Because the real God who will return after the death of money is the God of love. And only communities based on love and on trust and generosity and giving and sharing will be able to survive in that environment. An environment in which there will be no more need for lawyers or accountants or bankers or MBAs or any of the main professions that people now devote their lives to, which will become instantaneously meaningless, as well as all of the industries that are simply based on satisfying artificial desires that serve the god of money, that have inflated various values of art and music and medicines and various other artifacts far out of proportion to their real value. And once the real God is reinstalled on the throne of consciousness for all to recognize, then all of the values of the current civilization that worships money will dissolve, will vanish, will be seen for what they are, as delusions, as collective psychosis that we had bought into. And at that point, our souls will have to face our own alienation from the real God of love. and face that we were part of a system that worshipped false gods. And the god of money spawned many false gods, justified aggression and war and prejudice and racism, colonialism, and all of the various forms of control through intimidation that are ultimately based on the belief in money. And all of those mafias and other organizations based on the worship of this god, who have used intimidation and brute force in order to convert others to that religion, who would then pay their dues to the ministers of that god, will also lose their ground and their power. But as the real God returns, there will be many who will create imitation versions of that love. And we must become connoisseurs of love, who can recognize the real from its false, artificial versions. And understand that the real of love has nothing to do with egoic desire, has nothing to do with lust, has nothing to do with enjoyment. If anything, it has to do with sacrifice and surrender. And the realization that money as a god only survived because we mistakenly took the unit of consciousness as the ego. The ego and money are a pair that go together. But the ego itself as the ground and basis for belief in the god of money is also dying. And with the death of money will come the death of the ego. It is when the ego dies that love will be recognized as neither a property nor an attribute of any individual consciousness. But it is the release from the trance of belief in the individual consciousness and the recognition of the unity of all that is as a single whole, a single real that transcends all differentness. And that the only unit of consciousness that is real is the self that transcends and pervades the universe and brings wisdom and empowerment and love and joy to the hearts of all. That supreme power cannot be counterfeited. And in the dispersion and decomposition of the society based on the worship of the false gods, the only bond that will hold communities together is love. Love that creates the capacity to trust and to build a future based on a real present that is rooted in the eternal self, who unites us all. In meditation, we return to that real that overpowers all of the false gods, including the ego itself. And in surrender to that supreme real, the grace of that God is recognized as the only power that can take us through this time of tribulation that will follow the twilight of the idols, through the darkness of the end of Kali Yuga into the dawn of the next age. And to make it through this transition will require a consciousness that is already anchored in that truth that will bring the dawn of the next age, so that our inner compass is aligned with that power that will magnetically draw us through the darkness when we cannot see, and enable us to navigate the labyrinth of tribulations and adversities that we will have to confront, and that will give us the strength to pass through the time of the plagues and the faith to see the Red Sea open, and the endurance to walk through the desert. And the even greater courage required to climb the holy mountain to receive the new commandments of the real God, and to melt down all the idols that we had worshipped, and be purified and prepared to enter the promised land of a new age that only that consciousness of the real can create. The capital of that God is not Jerusalem, nor Washington, nor Moscow. The capital of that God is the heart.